The year was 1993. The action movie era was at its peak, and explosions, car chases, and one-liners ruled Hollywood. Arnold Schwarzenegger was on top of the world, fresh off massive hits like Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Total Recall. He was unstoppable, the definition of box office gold. So when Last Action Hero was announced, a film that promised to combine big-budget action with self-aware comedy, everyone expected another record-breaking hit. But instead of rewriting Hollywood history, Last Action Hero became one of the strangest and most misunderstood movies of the decade. It tried to be everything at once, an action movie, a parody, a fantasy, and a satire, all rolled into one chaotic ride. Critics mocked it, audiences were confused, and it was crushed at the box office. Yet over the years, it's gained a loyal cult following that sees it for what it truly was, a movie way ahead of its time. Behind the explosions and jokes lies a story full of wild twists, expensive mistakes, and bizarre Hollywood legends. So grab your golden ticket and step into the world where action meets absurdity, because these are 15 weird facts about Last Action Hero, 1993, you probably didn't know. 1. The original script was totally different before Arnold ever said yes. Last Action Hero was written by two young film students, Zach Penn and Adam Leff. Their version was a dark, bloody, R-rated satire of Lethal Weapon-style cop movies. It was meant to make fun of every action cliché in Hollywood. But when the studio bought it, they wanted something bigger and funnier. They brought in Shane Black, the writer behind Lethal Weapon, and paid him a jaw-dropping $1 million for rewrites. Then more writers came in, then more. By the time filming began, it was a completely different movie, rewritten so many times that no one could tell whose version it really was. The studio wanted to beat Jurassic Park. Timing is everything in Hollywood, and Sony's timing couldn't have been worse. They decided to release Last Action Hero just 1 week after Jurassic Park. Yes, 1 week after Spielberg unleashed dinosaurs on the world. The studio thought Arnold could hold his own against prehistoric beasts. But the public had already made up its mind. Everyone wanted to see the T-Rex. Jurassic Park became a phenomenon, while Last Action Hero barely made a dent. Even Arnold later said, "You can't compete with dinosaurs." The villain's glass eye has a secret origin. Charles Dance's character, Benedict, is one of the coolest movie villains of the early 90s. Dressed in a sharp suit with a collection of mechanical glass eyes that light up, spin and change patterns, he's unforgettable. But here's the weird part, that eye gimmick wasn't new. It was borrowed from an unused concept for a James Bond villain that never made it into production. The filmmakers loved the idea and decided to resurrect it. It became such a standout feature that even people who hated the movie still remember Benedict's hypnotic eye. Arnold was the star and the producer. Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't just act in Last Action Hero, he helped create it. He pitched the movie personally to Sony, saying he wanted to make something that poked fun at the genre he had dominated for a decade. He even convinced director John McTiernan, who had directed Die Hard and Predator, to join the project. Arnold's enthusiasm was through the roof. But when the movie bombed, he took it hard, saying it was one of the most painful failures of his career. Still, he never badmouthed it. He always called it a clever idea ahead of its time. The marketing was absolutely bonkers. If there were an Olympic event for movie marketing, Last Action Hero would have won gold, literally. Sony spent over $20 million just on marketing. There were posters, toys, a video game, and even a Burger King tie-in. But the craziest stunt was when they paid NASA to launch a Last Action Hero logo into outer space on a rocket. It made history as the first movie advertisement ever sent into orbit, only to burn up on re-entry. Talk about symbolism. Danny DeVito played a cartoon cat cop in one of the film's most bizarre moments. An animated talking cat named Whiskers shows up as a police detective. He punches a suspect and casually walks away like it's totally normal. The voice? None other than Danny DeVito. The scene makes no sense, and that's the joke. It was the filmmakers' way of mocking how crazy action movies had gotten, where anything could happen and nobody questioned it. Steven Spielberg almost directed it. When the project was still in its early stages, the studio approached Steven Spielberg to direct. He liked the idea, but was already deep into Jurassic Park. He passed, and the rest is history. If Spielberg had taken it, the movie might have looked completely different. Instead, it became one of the biggest what-ifs in Hollywood history. What if Spielberg had directed Arnold in a self-aware action parody? 8. Sharon Stone and Robert Patrick's cameos were shot in a single day. One of the movie's best Easter eggs happens during the police station scene. Sharon Stone walks by as her Basic Instinct character, and right behind her is Robert Patrick as the T-1000 from Terminator 2. It's blink and you miss it, but fans loved it. Both stars filmed their cameos on the same day, as a fun favor for Arnold and director John McTiernan. It turned a simple background scene into one of the most rewatched moments in the film. Arnold almost played two versions of himself originally. The story was going to have Arnold play both Jack Slater and a fictional version of Arnold Schwarzenegger throughout the film. The two were supposed to meet halfway through the story and team up, but it was too expensive and confusing, so they saved it for the end, when movie Arnold meets real Arnold at the premiere. It was a brilliant idea that hinted at something Hollywood rarely did back then, breaking the fourth wall inside a blockbuster. Oh. The Hollywood premiere literally caught fire. The studio went big for the premiere. Explosions, pyrotechnics, and a red carpet stunt show. But during setup, a lighting rig overheated and caught fire. The event had to be briefly evacuated. No one was injured, but people joked that the movie was cursed. The fire wasn't the only omen. Critics tore the film apart just days later. The soundtrack became a cult classic. While the movie struggled, the soundtrack absolutely rocked. It featured AC/DC, Megadeth, Aerosmith, Def Leppard, and Alice in Chains, basically the Mount Rushmore of early 90s rock. Megadeth even wrote the song Angry Again specifically for the film, and it earned them a Grammy nomination. The soundtrack still sells copies today, and is often considered one of the best parts of the last action hero experience. Wow. The golden ticket was real gold, that magical ticket that lets young Danny enter the movie world. It wasn't just a prop. The studio created several gold-plated versions as collectibles for promotions and contests. Some were given away to fans, and a few ended up in private collections. In 2020, one sold at auction for several $1,000s. Not bad for a movie that was once considered a flop. Test screenings were a total disaster. Before the movie's release, Sony hosted early test screenings. The results were brutal. Audiences didn't know what to make of it. Some laughed at serious scenes, others stayed silent during the jokes. The tone confused everyone. One viewer even yelled, "They pick a genre." The studio tried to fix it, but there wasn't enough time. The rushed editing schedule meant the final version hit theaters unfinished. That confusion haunted the movie for years. Critics hated it, but fans redeemed it. When it came out, critics shredded it. Roger Ebert said it didn't know what kind of movie it wanted to be. But as the years passed, people started to see the genius underneath the chaos. It was one of the first major Hollywood films to poke fun at itself, breaking the fourth wall, referencing other movies, and mixing satire with spectacle. In many ways, it paved the way for films like Deadpool, the Lego Movie, and Ready Player One. What was once a flop is now a respected cult favorite. Arnold's optimism never died even. After all the criticism, Arnold never turned his back on Last Action Hero. He called it a misunderstood experiment, and often said he was proud of how bold it was. Over time, fans came around too. The movie found new life on DVD, streaming, and fan conventions. People realized it was more than a failed blockbuster. It was a movie that dared to mock Hollywood while being part of it. And that's something very few action films ever tried to do. So there you have it. 15 weird, wild, and wonderfully strange facts about Last Action Hero, 1993. A movie that tried to be smarter than the system, only to get crushed by its own ambition. It mixed fantasy with satire, humor with heartbreak, and action with absurdity. It was Hollywood looking in the mirror, and not everyone liked what they saw. But over time, the movie earned something much more valuable than box office gold: respect. It became a cult classic that film lovers and action fans now celebrate for its creativity and courage. Last Action Hero was a movie ahead of its time, and maybe, just maybe, the world finally caught up. Because in Jack Slater's world, the hero never really dies.